The aces of the tarot correspond with the concept of unity. The suit of discs corresponds with the element of earth and has an esoteric meaning of structure. So the ace of discs represents the unity of structure. Hello, I'm Michael J. Auger, creator of the Allcento Tarot. The Ace of Discs can be likened to a planted seed. It represents the power of potential that is rooted in the solid, natural order of things. By aligning with this established structure of earth energy, we have the certainty needed that allows us to start any material undertaking, knowing that it will grow and manifest. Although the court cards of the tarot feature royalty holding large discs, the suit that corresponds to the earth element was first referred to as the suit of denier. Denier is a French word that translates as a historic coin from the Middle Ages. The value of a coin, and all money, is an illusion. You can't eat a coin. However, you can trade a coin for food because society has agreed that the coin has value. We all agree to the illusion because it allows for the convenience of order and structure. In the same way, the material world is also an illusion. True reality is the spiritual, but this can be a challenge to understand because we live in a state of illusion with the veil lowered. If we are worthy, the high priestess lets us look behind the veil, but it is rare to get more than a quick peek. The crown of Kether is far away from the reflected kingdom of Malkuth. Yet in this card, opposites are united. In the Marseille style tradition, the Ace of Coins is depicted differently from the other aces. Unlike the sword, cup, and wand that are viewed from the side, the Ace of Coins is illustrated so that it appears as though it lies flat on the ground, as viewed from above. This emphasizes the lowest nature of this suit corresponding with the lowest elemental energy of Earth. We must completely descend into the material in order to ascend once more to the highest spiritual heights. The Ace of Coins represents not only the potential for its suit, but also the potential for all four suits of the minor arcana. All four suits are hinted at by the four decorative vines that sprout from the center of this card, as well as the four petals of the flower inscribed on the face of the coin. It is from the lowest card of the lowest suit that the rest of the tarot grows and blossoms. The suit of coins represents the structure of all mundane aspects of the material world, including our physical bodies and all of our temporary possessions. This is symbolic of far more than just the structure of money. And so over time, the suit of coins became known as the suit of pentacles. Pentacle is a French word that translates as talisman and represents the element of earth energy. Pentacles are typically shaped like a disc and inscribed with magical symbols. Despite the sound of the word, pentacle originally had no connection with the number 5. According to the Theosophical Society, the word likely originated through Italian and French from the root pend, which means to hang. And so a pentacle is similar to a pendant or a charm that is hung from the neck. However, a pentagram is a 5-pointed star, and the two words pentacle and pentagram have become so conflated that today many refer to a pentacle as a pentagram inside the circle. However, a pentagram is just one of the most popular magical symbols that can be inscribed on a pentacle. According to British academic Michael Dummett, when Arthur Edward Waite translated Eliphas Levy's Rituals of High Magic, Waite deliberately left the French word untranslated. Waite knew that English-speaking readers would interpret the word as meaning a 5-pointed star. And then he exploited this misunderstanding by having Pamela Colman Smith include 5-pointed stars on the discs of his deck. Waite described the Ace of Pentacles as representing gold, but also perfect contentment, speedy intelligence, and even goes as far to say that this is the most favorable of all cards. Waite describes the reverse meaning as also representing great riches, but in a way that is not advantageous. Money is the root of all evil, and Waite says the reversed meaning of this card can symbolize bad intelligence. Smith illustrates the divine hand with an open, passive palm holding a pentacle in the tradition of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. She also includes a garden hedge with an arched doorway connecting with earthly fertility. And through this doorway can be seen a far-off mountain that foreshadows the final destination where the journey that is just starting will eventually end. The aces unite the ideas of beginnings and endings, represented as the low valley garden and the high mountain top. Aleister Crowley's Thoth Tarot uses the title of Ace of Discs, and in this version of the card, illustrated by Lady Frida Harris, there is a prominent gold disc surrounded by vegetation that resembles 6 pairs of angel wings. There are 2 pairs of wings to the left and right, 2 pairs to the top and bottom, and a more subtle pair at the very top and bottom borders of this design in green, the color associated with paper money. However, Crowley linked the color green with the season of spring and the resurrection of Osiris as Horus. He also saw the disc not as a coin, but as a whirling emblem, just as every star and planet are whirling spheres, and every atom is a system of whirling forces. There are also clusters of acorns representing fertile beginnings, as well as tree rings that are revealed when a tree is cut down, representing endings. Opposites are united. Historically, tarot decks were taxed by local authorities and stamped on either the ace or the 2 of coins, which would also include the maker's mark or signature. Crowley follows this tradition by including his magic name on the outer ring of the disc, which reads Tumega Therion, and this translates from Greek to mean the great beast. Inside this is a decagon that creates 10 facets that terminate at the points of a pair of 5-sided polygons. Within this is a heptagram, which is Thelima's 7-sided star of Babylon. And within this, at the very center of the card, is Crowley's personal seal, the Mark of the Beast, which is made up of 3 intersecting golden circles. The top circle represents the sun, and this is cradled from below by a crescent moon to symbolize the unity of masculine and feminine creative energy. Written inside the 2 lower circles is the number 666, which is the number of the beast and the sun. Crowley loved phallic innuendos, so his personal seal also resembles the male genitalia, because why wouldn't it? Crowley claims this central symbol is the personal hieroglyph of the chosen priest and apostle of infinite space. He also insists on making sure everyone knows that his version of this card is superior to the numerous crude efforts of uninitiates to put themselves forward as adepts but have done no more than play the sedulous ape to conventional medieval designs. So says Crowley. And here's the Ace of Discs from the Allcento Tarot. In this version of the card, there is a large golden disc inscribed with my personal magical sigil of a symbolic A. This represents many things, including Auger, artwork, as well as Allcento. This is held up in the passive hands of a female gnome. The gnome represents the elemental powers of Earth, as well as the potential for unexpected surprise. The gnome reminds us that all material things are illusionary. Seize opportunity, but beware of looking at the material realm for lasting happiness, for the only constant is change. Looped to the hat of the gnome is a lemniscate that symbolizes a union of all things in the material world, both good and evil. Scattered around the gnome are acorns, which represent seeds of wealth and power that can be discarded and forgotten or planted and nurtured. Earth energy is slow, but with effort and perseverance, creative growth and success is possible. There are also fertile, blooming white snowdrops, the first flowers of spring. And similar to the deck by Waite-Smith, there is an open garden archway that beckons to mountains of achievement. Every journey begins with the first step, and our journey will continue soon with the twos of the tarot. Make sure you're subscribed and have rung that bell icon to keep in the loop. And please be sure to give this episode a thumbs up. And as always, I also encourage you to visit my website to schedule tarot readings or collect one of my offbeat paintings. Until next time, Bryce blessings on your spiritual journey.